It's been an absolutely wild week when it comes to Primarchs. We've been talking about Perturable's brand new crusade. We've been talking about how Rogel Dawn is still alive, but I want to end it on the big one. I want to talk about the next loyalist Primarch that I think is returning. Yes, I'll hold my hands up. I've done this video so many times before. The last one I thought was going to be Leman Russ because I was hearing so many rumors about the Space Wolf refresh. That did happen, but we never got Leman Russ. Now going forward into the next edition, it's all centralized about Armageddon. That is the brand new lore narrative, and apparently I'm hearing that Games Workshop are going to be taking to it in a big way, different from what they did with Leviathan, where it dropped off after a couple of months. So this makes me think, is a Primarch going to be returning that has got a key connection to Armageddon? Who is that Primarch? It's none other than Vulcan himself, the Salamander's Primarch, the big boy, the most probably lovable Primarch that we have, a part of all the Primarchs. I don't think one person from the Loyalists or Traitors can say anything about Vulcan. So let's jump in, let's talk about this, let's explore it, and let's, of course, get some wafflings. So a brief overview of what happened to Vulcan. For those of you who haven't read the Beast Arises series, he was the last confirmed Primarch in that series, and he went to fight the Beast with the remnants of the Imperium that was left, and on the planet known as Ullanor, which then became the planet that we all know, Armageddon, he fought the Beast. In that, I think he killed the Beast. Some people say he didn't kill the Beast. I think he killed the Beast because there was other beasts on the actual planet itself. But he was basically consumed by War energy. Some people thought that Vulcan actually died, which is absolutely ridiculous because Vulcan cannot die. That is Vulcan's special power. He is a perpetual. During the Siege of Terror, Magnus the Red literally broke Vulcan down by the atom, by the molecule level, just to get rid of him. And he still came back. So to argue that some War power is going to take him down is absolutely ridiculous. Vulcan is alive, and Vulcan went missing on Armageddon. Now this takes us to the current day, and we're all going back to Armageddon again. I think this is the 5th war of Armageddon at this point. I've lost track. There's been so many bloody wars in Armageddon. And the Imperium is going back there. The Orcs, of course, are going back there. It's the biggest war, apparently, that we've seen from the Orcs. Gazskull is amassing his forces. You've got, is it Wazdaka? He's coming as well with his big speed war and stuff. So 2 massive wars are going back to Armageddon. The Imperium is probably going to be in a very, 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 very tight spot. Yes, you've got Ultramarine chapters there. They have confirmed that a massive crusade fleet is going there by the Imperium, full of Space Marine sisters, Custodes Guard, etc., etc., etc. All that's going there. But I don't think that is enough. And I think potentially this is where they can start building the foundations now of bringing another loyalist Primarch back to the setting. I know some people are going to say, well, what about the Lion? What about Gilliman? They haven't met yet, Valrak. I completely agree, right? Until they meet, they shouldn't bring back another loyalist Primarch. But in the end narrative books that we're getting in this edition, the Lion has sent a message to Gilliman, so I am 99.9% convinced that next edition, 11th edition, which is going to be coming in a couple of months, the Lion and Gilliman will have their meeting. That's a separate video on its own because I think it's going to be absolutely bloody amazing. But once they meet, that opens the doors then for other loyalist Primarchs. And the reason why I'm saying Vulcan is because, of course, it's all surrounding Armageddon, and as I've just said, that is where Vulcan disappeared. Now, where has he disappeared to? Well, during the Beast Arises series, Vulcan made it very, very clear that he wanted no part of the current Imperium. The Imperium that grew into what it was something that he didn't want to be a part of. It wasn't his father's dream. All his brothers were gone, etc. He just didn't want to be a part of it. He only did it really to protect like the civilians and the innocents that were going to be lost in all this. And then, of course, he fought the Beast and he disappeared. So I think, personally, he just took himself to a quiet part of the world, maybe a quiet part of the Armageddon system, and he's just been relaxing, chilling, being a farmer, as he mentioned, right? A nice, quiet life. But what if this war does come back and it instigates even a bigger threat, and then that brings Vulcan out of the shadows again. I think that may change Vulcan's view and everything because his brothers have returned. What if he sees messages from Guilliman? What if he sees messages from the Lion, right? His brothers that he once thought were dead and he was on his own are alive again. What if this is the time for him to step back up and start helping the Imperium, to start saving it in any way he can? We all know Vulcan, we all know the Salamanders always put civilians first. I've just read Hell's Reach, and Grimaldus didn't like what the Salamanders were doing, of course. I absolutely love that book. But yes, we all know the Salamanders love it. That's Vulcan's creed to protect the innocents, and I don't think Vulcan is going to pass on that opportunity to protect it. I think it also makes sense in a way is that if you bring Vulcan back, he's one of those Primarchs that is very, very beloved by the community as a whole. As I mentioned just before, when you talk about Vulcan, if you're a loyalist simp like me, if you're a traitor simp like some other weirdos, everyone says good things about Vulcan. Everyone likes Vulcan as a Primarch. Also, he's an absolute badass as well. Like the way he beat Kurz, like the way he fought against Magnus, some of his deeds he did during the Great Crusade and the Horus Heresy. He was there. He was at the forefront of everything, literally just there in the webway and stuff, fighting his way through it. He is an absolute smashing mighty warrior. So to bring him back potentially, not only in the narrative around Armageddon where he went missing, I think it makes complete sense to me. Yes, I'm sure there's other choices out there, Korax, Jagatai Khan. I think Jagatai Khan is an option, but that's more to do with the Dark Eldar and stuff, which may be happening next edition as well. But again, that's probably another theory and another video for another time, because there's a lot of stuff going to be happening around the Dark City and stuff like that, apparently, according to the rumors. But that aside and everything like that, I think Vulcan is an absolute prime candidate to come back, not only for like an awesome looking model, but for the lore as well. And how amazing would it be if you see Vulcan return to stand by his brothers? And that is another thing as well. Vulcan doesn't want power or anything like that. Vulcan is there to serve the Imperium. He's there to serve humanity. I know some people are saying, well, if Dawn comes back, if the Lion meets Guilliman, is the Lion going to want Guilliman's power and stuff, etc., and all those theories and all that type of talk. That's not in Vulcan's creed. Vulcan just wants to help and wants to protect the Imperium. So that's how they can just slot him into the lore. It's easy, it's nice, it's calm, it's cool, and it would be absolutely bloody amazing. And as I mentioned at the start of the video, one thing I keep hearing about is that what they want to do is approach 11th edition with the narrative in a different format that they've done in previous editions. For those people who are confused, who don't understand what I mean about that, like if you get the 9th edition, 10th edition rulebook, it had like introductions into lore against Necrons, against the Tyranids, and basically that was it during that edition. They didn't really push those stories anymore. Yes, we got maybe 1 or 2 Crusade books and stuff like that, some animations, but the stories were basically just left open. I'm hearing during this 11th edition narrative, they actually want to treat it like a story. Again, those are just whispers, those are just rumors, there's nothing confirmed about that at this point, but if they were to do that, I think that would be a big, big change as well, that we actually have a story through that the entirety of this edition, focusing around the Imperium, Orcs, maybe Chaos getting involved and stuff like that. Like, there's been mention of like Leagues of Votan and stuff. It's not just going to be the Imperium versus Orcs. There's going to be other races involved in this. We know, for example, like the Eldar are starting to come out of their shells a little bit more now and starting to get involved in the broader Imperial politics because of all the Chaos shenanigans and everything like that. So again, it can start evolving a lot more and more and more factions. It's not just, again, Imperium versus Orcs. So hopefully that is a big change, and hopefully that adds to the flavour of Vulcan returning. Tell me I'm wrong. Would you love Vulcan to return or not? I think it'd be a great choice to return. Jagatai, Vulcan, Rogel Dawn, right? All great choices to return for Primarchs. But looking at where the lore's going now, looking at where the narrative's going, looking, at the Armageddon Steel Legion that they're going to be redoing, it just kind of makes sense to me that Vulcan is that next Primarch that is going to be returning to the setting. And I think it would be absolutely bloody fantastic. Anyway, enough waffling, enough theorizing, enough just Valrakim today. Valrakisms? I don't know what that even means. Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. I would love to get your thoughts, feedback on it, your theories, everything like that. Like, is Vulcan the best choice to bring back at this point? or would you want someone else? I think it's perfect, and I'm a huge Rogel Dawn simp. Dawn will come back one day, but Vulcan, Jagatai maybe first, and then, you know, save the best for last. Rogel Dawn, the Crusader Primarch King. See ya, have a great day, evening, night, and